Welcome to our special 2 sessions roundtable discussion. Today, we are going to talk about logistic development in Western China, especially logistics corridors that are connected to Chongqing. During this year's 2 sessions, Chongqing-based CPPCC members have submitted proposals on strengthening coordination of the new Western Land-Sea Trade Corridor, construction to move towards a new pattern of a large-scale development of the Western regions. Relevant departments in China have strengthened their guidance and are providing support, and ASEAN countries are following the project closely.
Proposals have been made to improve the infrastructure and enhance the capacity of the ILSTC by incorporating the Chongqing-Guiyang high-speed railway and the Fuling-Liuzhou railway and support the construction of a national logistics hub in Chongqing.
Policies should be strengthened to increase support in investment and finance, to expand channels of opening up and embrace more international cooperation, and strengthening overall planning to form a working mechanism with coordination between the central government and local regions. The International Land-Sea Trade Corridor links China through Chongqing to Singapore in a multimodal transportation framework that also extends to nearby countries across Southeast Asia. Launched in 2017, the corridor consists of several cargo routes via rail-sea transportation. It is a multimodal and multifaceted economic link that serves as a bridge between the Silk Road economic belt and the 21st century maritime Silk Road, enhancing connectivity between Western China, Southeast Asia, and the rest of the world. Along with the ILSTC, Chongqing is also a hub for the Yuxinol Railway, the China-Europe Express Railway that allows for sending goods to Europe from China in less than 15 days. And the Yangtze River economic belt from Chongqing along the Yangtze River to China's east coast, reaching ASEAN countries and the Americas, are instrumental trade corridors as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. But how are these trade corridors impacting and benefiting Western China, and how do they affect the lives of the local people who live here, and what opportunities are they creating for businesses and investments? Joining us today are representatives of companies all related to the logistics development of Western China. Let me first introduce Ms. Ma Yu, General Manager of the Belt and Road Intelligent Pavilion here in Chongqing, Mr. Dennis Ong, Deputy General Manager of the Yuxinol Pacific Integrated Logistics Group Multimodal Company. Thank you all for coming here today. Before we start off with the discussions, I was hoping if Ms. Ma, could you introduce yourself and your company and how your company sort of benefits from these trade corridors in Chongqing?
Yes, of course. My name is Yuma, and I come from the company, a local company called Chongqing Meida Group. And for 36 years, our company has been dedicated in the retail and wholesale of luxury watches and jewelry. We were the first company to bring in luxury watch brands like Brigade, Rolex, and Omega into Chongqing.
Wow.
But last year, we started a new project, which is the Belt and Road Chongqing Intelligent Pavilion. It is located in the Yuzhong district. It is about 2,000 square meters in a building. And in that building, we are displaying and also selling products from all over the world, like kitchenware from Germany, bird's nest from Indonesia and Malaysia.
And Dennis, could you introduce yourself and your company as well?
Yeah, my name is Dennis Song, and I'm representing YPL. YPL is a joint venture company between Chongqing and Singapore, as under the structure of CCI. So eventually, YPL, we are actually doing a multimodal logistic, which leverage the OBORA into Western as well as what we call, international inland transportation route into Southeast Asia. So basically, our company, we are helping the people like you to consolidate most of the products as in the very economical scale way to export to Europe or neither to ASEAN, as the consolidation transportation mode, you see. Yeah.
Okay. So how has the Yuxinol Railway or the ILSTC benefited your company directly? How is it that your company works with these trade corridors to bring your goods here?
Well, our company is fairly new in the export and import business, but last year we had visitors from Poland, Italy, Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia, and also Russia. And for us, I think we have benefited from the guidance of the BRI, especially the free trade zone, from the policies and the infrastructure. For example, when we import products from Southeast Asia, like Indonesia and Malaysia, when we clear the custom, the time is shorter, the process is easier, and the cost is lower than before.
Right. I remember the customs being something that you are heavily involved in, making sure that the goods can move between countries easily.
I'm a local Chongqinger, as I said. So as everybody knows, the transportation problem has always been a pain at the back for the Western regions. That's why the Western regions are still not fully opened up to the rest of the world, especially when you compare with the East coastline cities. I used to work in the import and export company in the UK, and we could only produce products in East coastline cities, so could bring the goods to Hong Kong and then ship them to the UK. But now it seems it will be much better, because Chongqing as the center, I would say, and Chengdu together, working as an international logistics hub, it can be connected to all the directions. For example, going to the west, you have the China-Europe Expressway, the Yuxing-O. You can take bringing products from Europe or go to Europe. And to the westbound, you have the Yangtze River, Golden Waterway. You can go to the east. And to the north, I remember there's a train route to Russia, and of course to the south. You can go down from Chongqing Chengdu, and go down to Beibu Gulf port, and then go to Singapore and other Asian countries. So basically, we can have access, or we are connected to all the countries, all the rest of the world now, and based on the ILSTC. It's got bright future, that's what I think.
It's also not just about moving goods and commodities, but it's also about connecting these countries in a cultural way, sharing the culture, and then bringing that to China from other countries, and bringing China's culture to these countries as well. Because it doesn't only facilitate the movement of goods, but also of people, travelers, and then bringing their culture this way as well. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's also such a large and successful project, because it's more than just moving goods from one place to another. It's about bringing everyone together, sort of interconnecting them.
I believe we'll have more visitors from these different countries all over the world to come to Chongqing.
I think as far as we can see, the project is being moving, for the past few years to today. We can see there's a criminal change of the environment as a value of a transaction connecting between people to people, especially in Chongqing. So we are actually looking forward, that we can actually, enjoy or achieve that what has been actually, been successfully launched in Chongqing, as far as OBO or neither international trade corridor is concerned, which is able to, to benefit to all the party, which involved in this project.
Sorry, just to add one point, actually, I believe there will be more students coming from the Southeast Asian countries to come to study in Chongqing as well, that, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, just like we talked about before, with the not just being about goods and services, but also the culture, but they're also helping to connect the countries and then allowing for exchanges
the
of
language,
students.
yes.
This will enhance a lot of, different traits, where at the same time, once, the volume is increased, among of the platform which they embark, international airlines will be coming into, Chongqing, and more people will be coming in. All corridor have been opening up, you can able to help to bring down the total cost of the products. I think it is really options.
That's also one of the main benefits of having such a direct line from China to the places where these goods are going, because when you can cut down on transportation time, it gets cheaper to send the goods, and it gets faster and more efficient.
Precisely.
So everyone benefits.
Everyone benefits,
We can eat fresh fruits from Southeast Asia.
We can bring out the hot pot out from Chongqing.
That's a must. That's a must.
Chongqing noodle, Chongqing xiaomian.
Oh yes.
It has to go. So given the development that it's been in the recent years, so this project only started in 2013, like the big BRI project. Given how fast it's developed from then until now, what do you think is going to happen in the next 5, maybe 10 years? How much is this going to affect Chongqing as a city, but also the people living here and businesses such as yours?
Basically, I do not know, but personally, on my own positions, you see, I have been coming to Chongqing since, 2016, as far as my project is concerned, as we, open up our JV company. I just share a very simple experience. My company, which leverage with the iChongqing Railway, and as far as the OBOR platform, of course, not to mention about, the new launching, what we call international trade corridor. We have opened our own multimodal logistic consolidation box on the rail service from 1 until today. We have basically moving at about 1,000 TU per month, which from the past 3 years till now, you can actually see the volume increase. So eventually, in another scenario that we can tell, how beneficial it was as far as a company that we are coming into Chongqing to, to explore any business opportunity. And we are actually one of the, what we call, party, which are benefit out from this platform. Yeah.
What I think is we'll have more visitors, more tourists from all over the world, and we'll have more international companies and global brands, even more luxury watches and jewelry brands, maybe. And of course, we all want we would like Chongqing to be more international, so we will be bringing in more talents from different sectors, and they will help with the development of Chongqing, with the economy, with the science and technological development as well.
That leads me into my next question. So all of this, these 3 main trade corridors that are based in Chongqing, how are they influencing and impacting the city as a whole? What is Chongqing getting out of having these trade corridors linked to it, especially the Yuzhino Railway, the ILSTC, and the Yangtze River Economic Belt? What is the benefit that comes from having these 3 trade corridors linked to this one central location? Why is Chongqing such a suitable place for it?
As far as Chongqing is concerned, in terms of geographically landscape in the western, I think Chongqing is really stand for what we call very advantage location compared in the whole western of the China, where same time, on your west, they have Yuzhino Rail, which is directly, able to passing into Europe, neither to the Yangtze River or either the new international corridor, which currently that, Chongqing will have able to extend the rail via sea into the Southeast Asia. So I believe with these platforms and this, corridor, Chongqing were able to, of course, they were able to acting as the best geographical location in the western of China.
It is a very unique location, isn't it? Like we have 2 rivers running through, mountains on all sides, but still flat enough that you can sort of build the infrastructure here, and then from here link it on into the western parts.
Yes, and of course, with the benefit of the population in Chongqing, which more than 30 million of the people here, I believe it is one of the ideal locations here.
Historically, Chongqing was a strategic, important city, even during the wartime. Geographically, it is at the intersection of BRI and also the trade corridor. So it has its advantages of being the center of all the corridors. Well, there are many universities and there are many military enterprises in Chongqing, so the scientific and technological innovation foundation is quite solid in Chongqing. And I believe that's why the central government has chosen Chongqing to be the center of all the corridors.
As a local who's lived here your whole life, have you been able to see any changes in Chongqing over the past couple of years since this project started and since these infrastructure developments started here in Chongqing? Have you been able to experience or see for yourself how the city has changed since then?
Well, when I was little, I couldn't even see any foreigners. When we saw a foreigner in Jiefang Bay, we would be like staring at him.
Who are they?
Well, who are they? But now we have foreigners everywhere. And of course, we have food from all over the world. What I wanted to also add, the point is, I have many friends who work, well, they are Chongqingers. They were born in Chongqing, but they are now working in different cities. In like London, in New York, or in Shanghai. I hope they can come back to Chongqing. That's going to make a difference as well.
So it's also not, I think what Chongqing is also trying to do is there was a period of time where many people were sort of trying to go overseas and then find experience or find a job and stuff. And now we're sort of trying to bring them back here to take that expertise you've taken from overseas, bring it back and then help bring Chongqing up to level.
Yeah.
It's interesting because
I think the ability of the Chongqing to attract the talents, that coming into Chongqing to help to develop the infrastructure in Chongqing is even greater. They even have a ability that can compare. They are trying to compare with the Shenzhens or neither to the Shanghai, as far as the talents people to attract them. I think so far in Chongqing we can see a lot of different country or different nationality people are here, are living together, are working together. So for the past few years, I think there's a great difference.
It's also sort of helped put Chongqing on the map, so to speak. When I moved to China 10 years ago, I'd never heard of Chongqing. I'd heard of Beijing, Shanghai, and Tianjin.
Even Chengdu, maybe.
Yeah, Chengdu, I'd heard about Chengdu.
But not Chongqing.
But Chongqing is sort of like, what is that?
What's that?
But now it's really on the map, like not only just because of these corridors, but also Chongqing is just sort of making itself known.
Right, exactly.
It's like doing a lot to sort of expose itself to the world at this point.
Especially when I travel to Europe, my Europe friends or my Europe partner, they have started hearing about Chongqing.
Yeah.
They know about, iChongqing rails, if it's coming, going to Europe, they know about Chongqing, and they even know about hot pot, Chongqing xiaomian or noodles, and they even, after that we have interacts, they even come to Chongqing to visit us, to start certain kind of collaborations between us, country to country. And in fact, for those moment or for those momentum that we are practicing, we indeed Chongqing are actually giving to others nations a more curious location and identifying what we call province as far as China is concerned.
I mean, we had visitors from Poland, from South Korea and Russia. Before they came, they didn't even know anything about Chongqing.
Yeah.
But when they came, they were quite amazed at how beautiful it is and the construction and infrastructure development. So I think they would be interested in investing in Chongqing in the future.
These trade corridors, especially the Yushinol Railway that runs through Western China and that way to Europe, what kind of impact do you think this is having on Western China as a whole to sort of help the opening up process and help develop these areas? How are these trade corridors helping to spur that development, do you think?
First of all, of course, you were able to, a very realistic reasons that you're able to help to improve the timing, the logistic timing, as far as the logistic cost is concerned, because this all is actually involving with the actual cost of the products. If the actual cost of the products is able to reduce, I think this itself will able to boom most of the company or industry that neither doing business in China or either in Europe. So this itself, I believe, you will be continuing as well at the same time as more activity is involving and moving. Obviously, end of the days, you will reduce the whole total cost of the logistics as far as product cost is concerned. Yeah.
I totally agree with Dennis. Reducing the cost of transportation and custom clearance is the key when importing or exporting. I mean, when I was working in the UK for the exporting company, it took about a month or more than a month by sea, sometimes three weeks for sea air shipments from China to Europe. but now it takes about 15 days from Chongqing to Europe. So that's much better than before.
And this development is also just helping the western part of China to develop up to a level closer to what the East Coast is, because they're not getting all this infrastructure development. Transportation is going to be easier. So it's not only benefiting companies that want to send and receive goods, but it's also just helping improve the livelihoods of those people in those areas by bringing them closer to the rest of the world and to the rest of the East Coast, so they can get goods sent in and sort of enjoy the same prosperity that the Eastern Coast has seen for many years. Initially, when you chose to settle your company, why did you choose to settle in Chongqing at the time?
Basically, it's just very coincidence, and at the same time, because in Singapore, as far as it's concerned, we have a very close relationship with China for the past 26 years. And as far as my representative company in Singapore, they also have a lot of investment in China. And it come to the question that you're asking me, that at the end of the day we are choosing in Chongqing, is because of Chongqing was actually picked as the third project which is actually under the G2G, we call as government to government, China and Singapore. So the third government to government project is actually choose and launch into Chongqing. So we made use of this opportunity, and at the same time, with this project was putting in Chongqing, taking this opportunity together with my Singapore representative to Chongqing to discuss with some of the collaboration opportunity with some of the Logistic partner in Chongqing. So we are actually very lucky that we are able to discuss with the salvage of our what we call CCI. CCI we call as the what we call Chongqing Connectivity Initiative project, which is actually incorporated under the third G2G, which is launching into Chongqing. So we managed to talk to iChongqing and we managed to talk to iChongqing, and eventually we come to the conclusion to come as the joint venture company, to work out as multi-model JV company in Chongqing, to leverage the iChongqing real logistic in terms of what we call real business is concerned. Yeah.
For me, that's an easy question, as you know. I was born in Chongqing, I grew up in Chongqing, and my friends and families are in Chongqing. I used to live in the UK for 10 years, for more than 10 years, but I still decided to come back to Chongqing. I still love my hometown. And also, not an advert, but I'm the chairman of the Yuzhong Youth Entrepreneurs Association. We have 150 members. 30% of our members used to work overseas. So they have come back to Chongqing. We all love Chongqing. We hope it's going to be better. It's got a bright future. It's got great potential, we believe.
The thing about Chongqing, one of the things that made me stay personally is also, if you've been to larger city on the eastern coast, like Beijing and Shanghai and Shenzhen, they feel very much like any sort of major city you could go to London or New York or anything like that, but it doesn't, to me, it didn't feel necessarily very Chinese.
That's right.
Where Chongqing has this perfect balance of being modern enough that you can get everything that you want. And when you want to go to a big shopping mall and get stuff imported from overseas, you can. But if you want to find a place that is calm and quiet and has beautiful old architecture, you can find that too.
I totally agree with you.
And that's one of the things that, to me, makes Chongqing such a special place, and why it's also a place that I recommend to others when I want them to come here. I feel like it's maybe the most interesting place.
It is. Thank you.
In fact, you can see actually most of the international friends when you're coming to Chongqing, neither to for any business discussions, we have a lot of places to bring them along. Even though I was in Chongqing for the past 3 years only. But same time, compared to the international friends, I can be a local host, even to the mountaintop to have our hot pot, you see.
There are lots of places to take people. And even I've been living here for 6 or 7 years, and I still find places I've never been to before from local friends who are like, "Oh, you haven't been here? I can't believe you haven't gone. We need
There
to
are
take
many
you
places I haven't been. Probably, international. My international friends took me there.
Many places for exposure, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked a lot about the Yushinol Railway that goes to Europe. How about the ILSTC connecting China downwards to Singapore and to the ASEAN countries? The basic idea behind this trade corridor is the same. It's bringing all the countries together. Is there something that makes the ILSTC especially powerful, do you think? Is there something that makes the ILSTC sort of very useful for Chongqing as well? Like you said, it's a government project between Singapore and Chongqing, but it's also benefiting many other countries, isn't it?
Yes, of course. Which this what we call a new international trade corridor, which I think launching says about 2-3 years ago. So we can see actually there's progress. There's progresses, you know, for the past 2-3 years, and of course with this corridor itself, this is able to, as we discussed, is able to, you know, link up from the we call it southern corridor as far as western Chongqing or neither Chengdu. Chongqing is concerned, you know, usually traditional freight logistic models is, you know, most of the goods coming out from Chongqing or neither into Chongqing. You know, like last time we need to ship it out from either Yangtze or neither we are actually using, you know, local transportations, you know, domestic through Shanghai or either Shenzhen's coastal area. So this itself will increase the you know, the logistic cost, despite whether you know, the transit timing is concerned, because Yangtze in passing by is linking up to Shanghai. Sometimes during the you know, the dry period, it either take up, you know, minimum 15 to 20 days, you know, after connecting of Shanghai into Southeast Asia. Eventually it take out, you know, even 40 days.
Yeah.
Imagine, yeah. So with this new launching of this new international corridor via from Chongqing, we are able to consolidate the products, are able to, you know, send it out by rail, means to say send out by rail into connecting of this Guangxi port.
Yeah.
Guangxi port. Guangxi port by moving out, linking with the sea freights, you know, neither from Guangxi, Qingzhou port into all the ASEAN country, including Singapore. This itself, you'll be able to leverage and improve the traditional logistic mode, where just now I was mentioned about, you know, through this Yangtze River into this Shanghai. This at least improve about 1/3 of the timing. Consider about, you know, there's a direct link from Chongqing Rail, you know, established as a rail into this Guangxi, and coming out through Guangxi into ASEAN country. It only take about 4 to 10 days. So with internal rail domestic is concerned, it come up to another 2 to 3 days. Overall, it take about, you know, 12 to 15 days. You can imagine compared to last time traditional freight.
Yeah.
For river sea model, it take up to 30 or even 45 days. So as you can see, there's a lot of you can see there's a very huge improvement in terms of the transiting time. Yeah. So this were able to help, you know, country to country or company to company. They're able to receive their stuff, their goods in timely, even more faster than a normal traditional way, and is able to speed up the people to receive all the products. So this really helps to increase the timing of the logistics cost, as far as this you know, time is concerned.
So you mentioned you lived in London for 10 years.
Yeah, different cities.
Different cities, sorry, in England for 10 years. Do you know, or do any of the people that you know in England still, have they heard about these logistics corridors? And do you know of any of them who are making use of these corridors from England?
That's the interesting thing. I haven't spoken to my friends in England, but I did speak to 3 friends yesterday about the trade corridors,
right,
and even the Yushinol Railway. And 2 of these friends are working for companies who are manufacturing spare parts for automobiles. I did ask them whether they are making use of the trade corridors. They said no. And they are still using the traditional sea freight way. So you ship to Shanghai via Yangtze River. And I also talked to a friend whose company is now importing fruits from Southeast Asia. I asked again if they have used the IOSTC, the trade corridor. They said no. They are using still air freight, which is quite expensive. So I think maybe we need more promotions to let more people know about them. So it is an opportunity for especially small to medium-sized business as well, for them to reduce the cost, reduce the timing, and help them to help the cities and countries in the cities and countries along the corridors to develop further.
Yeah. So if we wait for them to get their goods almost as fast, but at a much lower price.
Exactly.
And then in return, they would help build up their own infrastructure and help build up this link between all these countries in the long run. So lots of potential benefits for companies that haven't yet heard of it and might be considering making the jump. What would you tell them? Let's say if you asked them and said, no, I haven't used it, but I'm interested. What is some advice, or what is something you would tell them about these trade corridors that would benefit them?
I would invite Dennis to go with me to explain to them all the benefits, the timing, the costs, and make the whole process easier. They probably haven't heard of it, or probably they don't know, or they haven't tried yet. If I invite Dennis to go with me to explain to them professionally, I think they will be very interested.
I'll be very interested, and it's my honor to do that. But basically, yes, I was actually a business trip last week in Shenzhen. We have some meeting with this Hong Kong company, which they have their offices in Shenzhen. They were actually sharing with me that they were actually just finding out this platform, neither on this what we call OBOR or either in this international trade corridor. They are actually conscious, and they are actually very interested, to find out more, because they have explained to me, as just sounds, we are actually sharing, Hong Kong, normally when they wanted to ship their cargo or either import the cargo, they have to run out a way, what we call a round trip from Europe, via sea down and passing by through Hong Kong. Yeah, they're actually quite excited, So, of course, this itself, we have to open up a lot of opportunity and, calibration with, partners in Europe or neither in Southeast Asia to share with them about the dialogue, the program that we are actually moving on in China. So with this, I think more or less, you will actually tell to more people that in Western China, in Chongqing, we already have this corridor is been initiative, and at the same time we are actually improving, and we are growing, and we are able to help them to extend their business, their logistics into another what we call spec of logistic for them to concern compared to the normal traditional air freights and sea freights. You see, this is very good and interesting.
It's an interesting thing that this trade corridor sort of lies in the middle between the slower and somewhat cheap sea freight and then the faster, more expensive air freight. It lies right in the middle. So it's something that a new business would also be able to afford to sort of get into. And I think that's serving as sort of a way to kickstart investments and people starting up a business, because this opportunity makes it possible to start up and then get in on all this trading action, sort of.
Precisely, especially during the pandemic, I would say for this corridor, OBOR or either this new trade corridor, in fact, there's more inquiry and there's more business concern, because as we can see at the period of these times, sea freight is being shutting down, air freight is also being shutting down, and the price has been increased dramatically. As we can see, for this corridor, our volume have been turning over to 3-4 or even 4-fold. So this will be also another good opportunity that you're able to, to let people learn to see, where during this kind of, world pandemics situation, we have this new logistic, what we call corridor, are able and still carry on and still continue to assess the what we call the transaction move for them. So I believe people now are actually seeing and learning more and appreciate the corridor that we are actually China's are putting in a lot of effort of pushing on it.
Looking towards the future, if you were to decide on something that you think could make the trade corridors work better, either for Chongqing or for your own business, are there any sort of ideas or policy that you wish might be enacted or looked at that could improve your own business or improve the situation in Chongqing and make Chongqing and its trade corridors stronger? What is something that you think you would look into?
I think as far as more investment, more business has been coming into Chongqing. New implementations or improvements or structure of government policy will be adopted. As far as being practiced into friendly environments in terms of transparencies as well, in terms of innovations. And with this to be enhanced, we need to create more advocacy and volume as far as to allow the government to see and to think and how to improve or to enhance the collaboration between all the parties. You see, so in fact, I see the improvement. And I think that our company or me, I would love to spend and to share with the progress that what we are having now to my friend or to our partner, that this is a places that we are able worth it for us to spend more time on exploring and developing.
For me and my company, I'm probably repeating myself, but talents. We need more talented people to come back to Chongqing and work in Chongqing from different fields and sectors like scientific and technological innovation, intelligent manufacturing, investment banking, finance, etc., etc. But we need to have an environment, a better living environment and business environment for these talented people to live in Chongqing and work in Chongqing and maybe start up their business in Chongqing. That's what I think.
Yeah, so it's not only about setting up the mechanism that allows you to transfer goods to one place, but through these corridors, we're also helping build up the living standard of the city itself. And then by improving that, we can then bring in the talent that we need so that we keep sort of building on top of it. And so we can keep raising up the city and then bringing in more talent to raise the city up even further.
Exactly.
Thanks for the summary.
Once the infrastructure has been there, I think the talent have to become to sustain, and to make the function of the infrastructure.
And like e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce talents as well.
Because we are doing a lot of e-commerce goods. It's consolidating from the coastal city like in Shenzhen, Guangzhou, and we are bringing all the e-commerce goods into Chongqing to make the consolidations of the cargo. And we actually, build it as a box and transport it into Europe. You see, so we are actually facing the shortage of talented people. So I think as far as to merge with the development, the process that we are moving now in Chongqing. So I hope that you can actually move in a double way. That at the end of the day, you can, I think, as a double engine.
I have a couple of extra questions that came in from our audience on social media recently. They want to ask each of you what you value the most personally about these trade corridors and the opportunities they've given you? You may have already answered this, but I'll let you have at it one more time. The thing that you value the most about this logistic developments.
I would say the opportunities for small and medium business.
Right.
They will have more opportunities with reduced cost of transportation. They can develop better in the future. That's what I value the most. Because the policy or the trade corridor, the policies can't stop or stay at only the government level. It needs to go down to the business and to the people.
Yeah.
It's going to benefit more.
And just like these trade corridors, it's not just for the benefit of the city itself, but it has to come from the government all the way down to the people living in the city, so that it benefits everyone all the way down. Makes sense.
Well, for me, benefit, with this off policies itself, I think obviously, I can see our JV company are actually growing, and eventually with these leverages of these, policies, and together with the iChongqing Rail, I can actually feel the trimmingly expanding on our company, and we can see our business volume is there. And we can see that my company, for the past 3 years, we have been well known by people in Europe, by people in Jiaxing, or even in the coastal China, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. And for business skills concerns, we are able to make more money. And when there is a skills of making more money, more people or more companies who are interested, to come to the places to look for opportunity. Yeah, and of course we are being proud, to share with these people that, Chongqing, we are able to provide that, that Chongqing is a good opportunity, business investing area that which I am able to show them my experiences and my example to them, and whereas it's not only by sharing to them, by empty talk to them, we have statistics, we have the realistic, material, See, we are the ones, we are able to sustain and to grow from Chongqing, in Chongqing as well.
Yeah.
And
it's like trying to sell a product, but you have used the product yourself, so you know what the product is.
Correct, exactly. So I'm actually very excited and looking forward to expand our businesses in Chongqing for the fews, in fact, for the rest of the years, Yeah.
Okay. Are there any countries that you think that are perhaps not part of the logistics corridors just yet, but that either could benefit or like countries that are benefiting that maybe haven't heard so much about? Are there certain countries that could maybe benefit more from becoming part of this project who are maybe not involved already, do you think? Either in Europe or in Southeast Asia or anywhere?
For projections I see, I think most of the country in Europe are actually benefit out from this, OBORA corridor, because we have been talking to Poland, we are talking to Hungary, we are talking to Germany, as far as the East and West Europe is concerned. Most of my partner involving with logistics, they all know about OBORA. And they actually, they're trying and they are also making use of this corridor to extend and to increase their company scale, as because that they receive a lot of businesses, between China and Europe, in this corridor is concerns. Yeah. So again, you come back to our new trade international corridor. This only carry out only started from 2016, 17, and in fact it's a little bit slightly later than the OBOR, which is about 8-9 years ago, so 10 years ago. But with the development, an example in terms of OBOR is actually modified, and we can see, maybe in another says about 3 to 5 years time, we can actually expect the same impact or the same benefits, compare of this international trade corridor as well as to this OBOR, because OBOR is actually to the west, as far as new trade corridor is concerning, is linking up and connecting into the southern, which is to the Southeast Asia as well. So this itself is it link up into the double connections, you know, against using of utilization of this Chongqing as the Western China to link up the actual link up between the west of the Europe into Chongqing, as in the geography of what they call transshipment country hub, whether that cargo is concerned or people is concerned, you know, that making use of this international trade corridor from Chongqing into Southeast Asia, you know, is completely a kind of what you call you know, in future you will become a totally free flow of a corridor, you know. I mean, become more what you call more common or more practical. Yeah.
I'll try to make you short, because that's quite a difficult question for me. There are many countries who have signed under the BRI guidance, but still there are many countries who haven't. But I believe they will see the benefits and they will join in the future. Only probably for some countries, for political reasons, they are not going to join in, but still they're going to see the benefits.
I trust, you know, when a corridor or when there's a project, we're able to benefit to country or to people or to, you know, countries or peoples. I wouldn't see that they will not have any obligations. Why don't they you know don't join it to help to create a mutual winning situations together? Yeah, and this is what I always believe, that you know we will move by step to step. But with which this platform is concerned, I believe in terms of not in the very long term period of time, we could able to reach out some expectation that, you know, we are looking for. Yeah, as far as for my company is concerned.
Yeah. So that is going to conclude our special 2 sessions roundtable discussion on logistics development in Western China. Thank you so much for coming to join us today, and we will see you next time.
My pleasure.